To hear from Dianne Hiles, who's head of ChilOut. Chris Bowen has made it very clear that there's no refugee vulnerable enough, no refugee desperate enough not to be made the brunt of the government's callous and merciless persecution. Children risk being sent to Nauru and being left there indefinitely. As head of ChilOut, Dianne Hiles is going to talk to us about that. Thanks, Dianne.
Thank you, Nick. I too would like to acknowledge we're on Gadigal land of the Eora Nation and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I also acknowledge all of you turning out to make the effort on this, one of the blackest days in Australia's human rights. Let me introduce you to Sakleen Husani. He was the youngest of the 6 children who remained on Nauru when we finally came to our senses in July 2005 and decided to release children and families from immigration detention centres. He was born on Nauru. For all his early life, all he knew was a rock. 21 square kilometres, 46 kilometres south of the equator, 4,000 kilometres away from Brisbane, where everything he needed had to be flown from. Like Sri Lanka, Nauru is a tear-shaped island, and many, many tears have been and will be shed there because of how we treat vulnerable children and people. Now, I don't know, and probably the government doesn't, if there are any unaccompanied minors in this plane load of fellow human beings we're sending back to Nauru. But if there are, what we are consigning them to is a life of storms, humidity, mosquitoes, inadequate water, inadequate health support systems, no judicial overview, and no formal guardian. What we do know is it doesn't matter how well you're fed, cared for, or looked after, if you do not have your freedom, and if you do not know when you will have your freedom, you go mad. Associate Professor Susan Maloney, the President of the Royal Australian College's Paediatric Division, says, there is now a large body of evidence to suggest that prolonged detention, particularly in isolated locations with poor access to health and social services and uncertainty of asylum claims, can have severe and detrimental effects. And those effects include long-term damage to social and emotional functioning, especially in children who have experienced torture and trauma and worsening of existing mental health problems. ChilOut is especially critical this time that we know exactly what we are doing to people we are sending to Nauru. And this time, despite the known harms it causes, indefiniteness is being built in through this no advantage policy. Children are now at even greater risk on Nauru than in the remote centres in Australia, and that's bad enough. And as a community, we're applauding ourselves that we found the correct, humane policy to save lives. Well, we haven't. People are still going to get on boats, and it's going to take no time for the 2,100 places to be filled. Then the government will have even more political egg on its face. ChilOut remains firm in its convictions that the detention of children should only ever be for the shortest possible time, as a last resort, and on the Australian mainland. In no way can the movement of children to remote islands for unlimited periods with no guardian and no resource to natural justice be deemed to be in the best interest of children. And let's remember, the Declaration on the Rights of the Child states, the child shall enjoy special protection to develop physically, mentally, morally, spiritually, and socially in a healthy and normal manner in conditions of freedom and dignity. In the enactment of laws for this purpose, the best interest of the child shall be the paramount consideration. And as the paediatricians will tell us, Australia must do everything to provide supportive, caring and non-traumatising early experience for refugees, children and adolescents on their way through to joining our community. So, we dump them on a rock in a failed state with no resources and let them with the specific intention of damaging them, and then it will probably be our community that has to fix them up in the long run anyway. Where is the best interest in that policy? Where is the best interest of any human being being treated like this? In 2004, when she was Shadow Minister of Immigration, Julia Gillard said, Labour will end the so-called Pacific solution. The processing, you can hear it, can't you? The processing and detaining of asylum seekers on Pacific islands because it is costly, unsustainable, and wrong as a matter of principle. Well, Julia, it was costly, unsustainable, and wrong as a matter of principle then. It is costly, unsustainable, and wrong as a matter of principle now. This whole sorry scenario is being played out for domestic political consumption. Because this government has withered under the opposition onslaught. It has never stood up and said, no one is illegal. It is not a crime to seek asylum. Julia Gillard has never defended the principle of seeking asylum. Her government has never reassured a frightened population that we do not have a problem.
Shame.
As Shane said, it's manufactured. The Rudd government was elected in 2007 with a clear mandate to close Nauru. It wasn't the Labour policy, it was the will of the people. Even the Howard government planned to do that. From March 2002, they were planning the detention centre on Christmas Island to supersede the facilities on Nauru and Manus Island. It was never meant to be an ongoing solution, and it's not going to be. But the electorate has got a short memory, and with the power-obsessed opposition and a spineless, incompetent government that's trying to out-coalition the coalition, we are now implementing this inhumane and obscene policy. And the cost is obscene. If we have a stray $1.5 billion and these so-called times of austerity, couldn't they be put to better use keeping people in Indonesia or Malaysia safe, or even exposing and improving the human rights situation in Sri Lanka? This is an infamous day. but thank you for turning out and standing up. Thank you.
Thanks, Dianne. It's not one meeting, it's not one protest, it's not one signature on a petition that's going to do anything to change the shameful situation we're in today. What we need to do, and what the Refugee Action Coalition has been doing for a long time now, is trying to build a comprehensive popular movement which is of a size able to challenge the willful and callous and hateful policies coming out of both the Labor and Liberal parties. We're planning a major rally on the 14th of October in about a month's time on a Sunday in Town Hall Square in the city, which we're going to try and have a show of force which will demonstrate exactly how much opposition there exists to this disgraceful turn in Australia's refugee policy. At the start of October, we're having an art festival in Leichhardt, which you can find more information about on our website. You can also find information about the October 14 rally on our website. There are posters and leaflets, I think, for both events, for the rally certainly, on the rack table there. I encourage anybody who hasn't taken any yet to please go take some paper, some posters. Dianne has a whole sheaf of them. Stick them up at home, stick them at work, stick them in your local cafe. Tell people about what we're trying to do. Involve yourself with the Refugee Action Coalition. Involve your friends. Don't just stand by and shrug your shoulders and let this disgraceful policy be implemented in your name. We're now going to march up to the front of the Immigration Department there, and we're going to do that as a sign of our determination and our resolve to do everything in our power to change public opinion, to bring about a reversal of offshore processing, to bring about an end to mandatory detention, and to restore an elementary commitment to fairness, to justice, and to humanity for refugees. And we've got a chant for this, thanks to Paul, which goes like this: neither Manus nor Nauru, Labor, Liberal, shame on you. Neither Manus nor Nauru, Liberal, shame on you. Neither Manus nor Nauru, Labor, Liberal, shame